dropping content that matters. We have a special guest on the show with us today, Miss Charisse Chapman. We just want to ask you how your week was this week, Miss Sharese, before you dive into why you're on our episode with us. So how was your week?
My week just got started, but it's pretty busy. How about you all?
It's be kinfolk J Flake, man. It's been it was tough, but ain't nobody gonna turn my spirits up. I'm still a little pissed about it, but it's cool. Went out for a little celebration. Somebody broke into my truck and broke my glass, back window, front window. So in the process of trying to get that repaired and taken care of, man. But it is what it is. Did nobody get hurt? Did nobody get, what I'm saying? In a nice area of Nashville where they don't really talk about stuff that happened on the news. You get to talk to the police officer, get to tell you about everything that's going on in that side of town. I said Jefferson Street would have never done me like this, man. Post office like, you probably right. So we worked through that, but I ain't gonna let my spirits down. We're gonna keep it moving, we're gonna keep it posting. But besides that, did a show in Kentucky. Felt good to be back in Kentucky, rocking the house, and laying down the jokes there. But besides that, we've been busy taking care of that. But so far, so good. Nobody get hurt. I wish somebody would get hurt, but
Look at you, though. Hey, man, this D-Rose, bro. But that's crazy because it's the same thing that happened in Houston all the time now, man. If you're not parking VIP, you probably got like a 75% chance they're gonna bust your windows if you're in the remotely dark spot or a well area that people go to all the time.
Right by the restaurant. My truck was parked right up beside the restaurant. And I come out there, I was like, so y'all ain't got no cameras? Like, yeah, where your truck is where the camera stopped. I was like, oh.
That was convenient.
All right. Had me thinking it must be somebody who used to work there coming through. Because he got about 3-4 other people. So it must be somebody, they know exactly where the camera stops at. So everywhere they got a camera, cars got broken to right where the camera stopped at.
It's crazy though, yeah. But my week was good, man. We had a nonprofit event Saturday in South Dallas, which was a success. So overall, my week was pretty chill. Just handling the business as usual, so no complaints. How about you, Spirit?
Well, for me, pretty much the same. As you stated, we had our event this weekend. That was a success and a blessing to go out there and serve the people. Prior to that, the week was pretty smooth. Tapping in with my devotionals, daily devotionals and everything. So that's been a blessing and a help of being consistent with that. And I'm pretty proud of myself for the streak that I'm on, because I ain't never been that consistent in it. And tapping in, especially with the word, on a continuous basis. I might tap in, but it was never this consistent. So that's a blessing. That's everything else was good. So my week was amazing. Now to get into what we was talking about, we have Charisse Chapman on from the F.I.N. Design. Please explain who you are, what y'all do, and I guess a little bit about y'all mission and vision for your organization.
So I am Charisse Chapman. I am one of the co-founders of the F.I.N. Design. I am currently the director of operations as well. My other co-founder, Kara James, we met in corporate America years ago, and we both had a similar vision to give back to girls of color, girls like us, girls like ourselves. So our mission is to, and we exist to mitigate those systematic and personal traumas on Black girls and other girls of color, giving them a safe space to just be them, a safe space for healing, to get education on certain things, and just to build healthy relationships. A lot of us don't know what even a healthy relationship looks like through mentorship and group mentoring sessions. So we work a lot with Metro Nashville Public Schools, Juvenile Court, And so what we do, we meet with the young ladies on a weekly basis to develop these relationships with them, to expose them to things that normally some of them wouldn't be exposed to, and just for them to see that there are women who look like them, you know, who can relate to the things that they've gone through. And so that's pretty much what we do. We are just, you know, trying to build up our future.
That right there is dope and amazing. So salute to y'all for doing everything that y'all do in y'all community. It is much needed, and I know it is inspiration to the young woman that y'all do deal with, but also just a blessing. And like you said, a safe place and a safe haven, because a lot of times we as individuals who just live our life and go through things, take things for granted, such as, you know, mentorship or family or clothing or shelter, or even being exposed to 2 miles outside of your, you know, your neighborhood. A lot of times we take for granted, like, oh, you ain't been outside your city, but there's a lot of people who don't get the opportunity to do that because of certain situations and circumstances that they're born into. So salute to y'all. How long has y'all organization been founded and been operating?
So we've been a 501c3 since 2014. Like I said, Kara and I, we met years ago. And so we would just kind of discuss different things that we wanted to do ourselves, you know, for young women, you know, like actually for our daughters, because we both had daughters. And so that happened years prior to 2014. And so we would sit down and plan, and we had that corporate America experience, but not the nonprofit. So we actually, both of our mothers worked in the nonprofit sector. So we sat down with them to just kind of get our, just get knowledge, because we didn't want to start something and then it not be successful just because we weren't well-versed in, you know, this industry. So it was a lot of groundwork before we became 501. And so that in itself, you know, it kind of speaks to how we're still here today.
So one of my questions for you, so like, what is some of the, like, what is the success story that you've had? You don't have to share their names or anything like that, but what is some of the, like, the work that you've done? Like, how impactful has it been? Do you have like a story that you wouldn't mind sharing of a young lady that you could really see there was a huge turnaround by the work that you all are doing?
It's so many of them, but just like I said, we provide that safe space. So a lot of times when we go into schools, for example, and juvenile court, right? So most of the time, the young ladies that are sent to us have behavioral problems. And so what we know as being Black women, that a lot of times there's something behind, right, those behavioral problems. You know, we're just not all born just to, you know, cause a ruckus. That's not really the case. And so we have most of our students that do come to us, their reputation in schools and, like I said, the juvenile court in their community is that they're these bad loudmouth girls. Now, some of them might be a little loud. We do get a little loud, but there is something more. And so what we do is we provide that space where they can express that, whatever that trauma is. We provide them with resources to deal with that trauma, and we build this relationship with them, and we keep showing up. So that is one thing that the girls that we deal with, they're used to people giving up. And so while people think it's something magical that we're doing, we're really not. We just keep showing up. And so we keep showing up for them, and then they start to change and grow. And a lot of times by the end of the year, the school leadership, they can't even recognize the student because they're a completely different individual than what their image was at the beginning of the school year or prior years. just because someone took the time to understand and listen to what was behind the behavior, not just focus on the behavior.
And I think that's dope. I didn't, you know, I've worked with some kids, but definitely when you're speaking with the young men, they seem like there's a huge disconnect because people just really just don't care. They just say, okay, hey, you rowdy, you a thug, or you just like somebody else, you just push them to the side though. But like, what are the girls saying that's the biggest disconnect?
A lot of our girls, they don't feel as if people care. Being a Black woman, I get it. We're rarely seen unless, you know, we are, you know, causing a ruckus, I guess is the only thing that I can think of. But I know that, you know, my counterparts in other races, you know, they can have an issue, and the issue is, you know, of mass importance to everyone. But if I had the same issue, it's not looked at in the same way. When we decided to solely focus on girls of color, I remember someone said to me, because my daughters, they all have different relationships with different races in their friend group, right? So they said, well, how can you just focus on, you know, girls of color, and, you know, your daughters have friends that are other races? And so what my explanation was, is that those other races, you know, the ones in particular, let's say my daughter came up missing. They wouldn't look for my daughter as hard as they would look for her friend. And that's just the reality of it. And so because of that, as she's walking up, because of that, we knew that we had to focus, and the importance of focusing and giving a space for our girls. Other girls, they have spaces. We don't. And that's just really the reality.
Hey, Sharisse, you don't have to sugarcoat it on our podcast. You can call it for what it is.
I didn't know. I ain't gonna get nobody in trouble, but you know who I'm talking about.
Them white folks, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Kelly and them, they're not gonna look for my Ariana like they'll look for Kelly. They just not.
All right, so since we got the gloves off, I'm glad Spears interjected and said that. No, but a real key thing though is that, do the younger Black women, do they, I know it's appreciated that you all are doing it, but do they share the same things, or they just kind of feel like they aren't as important to the world, and what has really shaped that thought process for them?
Yes, they do feel that way. And a lot of it is, you know, their school culture. You know, the young men, they don't really have a lot of respect for them. You have a lot of them that have experienced trauma in their homes. So you have boyfriends or uncles and daddies coming in, and they're violating them. It's like so many, you know, all the places where they should be safe, they're not safe. And so when you constantly have someone in that environment, how could they feel like they are even seen? You know, our young ladies of color, they develop, you know, faster than, you know, or they develop differently, shall I say, than some of their peers. And, you know, even sexually, they're looked at completely different. They just are. I mean, it's just so many different areas, and they see it. Our young ladies are very, very smart. Even down to, we have a school, and they speak on, it was a couple of them, they speak on how the different, it's segregated. I didn't even realize, you know, how segregated it still is within the school culture until the kids brought it to my attention. It's still where it's not outwardly segregated, you know, like back in the day, within their school culture, they can see the difference between the races and the genders. So yeah, they feel like that constantly, that they're not heard, they're not seen, you know, they're the school, the teachers and the principals and things of that nature. They don't feel like they care. So in result, that's what you see a lot of times with the students. They feel like, if he don't care, why should I?
Gotcha. Go ahead, Spirit.
So I heard you say that you're in the schools and you work with juvenile courts. Do you ever bring those two groups together, or you keep them separate?
Programmatically, they're separate, but when we have events, all of our young ladies are welcome to attend. So sometimes they do interact.
Okay, okay.
Our program through Juvenile is a diversionary. We work with their diversionary program. So it's students who, or young ladies who have, you know, they've committed some type of offense, but instead of going through the full juvenile process, they try to refer them to agencies that can help, you know, like I said, kind of redirect
Yes, ma'am.
them. You know, everybody makes mistakes. So.
I heard you say something about Black men not doing their part for these young women growing up and making them feel like, one, they're not respected, but also that they're not heard from their Black contemporaries. So do y'all ever bring in a man of color to come show value to these women and express to them that they are loved, that they are special, that they are somebody, and that we do admire, but not only admire, respect and privilege, and show reverence to them, because without the Black woman, life would not be the same?
That was good. I like that. And yes, we do. So we, a lot of our a couple of our partner organizations are, they mentor the young men. And so we have, on several occasions, you know, they will come in and speak to our young ladies. We will go speak to the young men. At juvenile court, we would do part of the diversionary before COVID. We would have monthly groups, and those would be co-ed. And what we found is that, you know, they learn from each other, right? So we would have, you know, the young ladies thinking something, let's say, for instance, that something was really, you know, cute and attractive to the young boys. And they're like, no, I don't like none of that. That's not sexy at all. And so it gave us the opportunity to, you know, for them to hear from each side, and then for us to kind of, you know, facilitate those conversations so they can understand, you know, just what you said, how we should respect each other and how we need to support each other. So a lot of times we do that. And you all are welcome to come in and speak at any time.
I do have one more question. Yeah, we will though. But I just want to say thank you for actually providing them with solutions, because what we often see is that it's like this bridge that we're all trying to get over together, but we continue to see people that just kind of pile on to the shit that we already got going on in our community. So it's not really fixing anything. It's just placing men at fault, women at fault. But I just want to say thank you for actually, you know, teaching the young ladies that there are men, and showing them that there are men that will respect you and place yourself as a king, and as you carry yourself as a queen. But I think just a lot of times we see people that don't try to fix the problem. They just, you know, there's no solution to it. It's just stacking on top of each other, and then we're just placing blame. But, you know, so highly appreciate that, and a salute to that, for real, honestly.
And salute to you all. You know, I listen to the podcast periodically, and it's good to see strong men get together, have these important conversations. You know, I just definitely wish that more of us would take the time to have these conversations. If we were united, you know, we would really be dangerous, in my opinion.
Message.
Come on, Flizzy, you ain't said nothing right down there sipping on your wine, man. I don't know how you feeling.
Hey man, I'm just sitting back listening, let y'all boys answer all the questions, letting her respond. One question, we're gonna rewind back. So the juvenile courts reach out to you guys, so you're not sitting in the court or waiting outside like Bar Doom or anything like that, right? So they contacting you guys directly. Is that right?
Yes, they contact us. Like I said, it's called the Juvenile Diversionary Program. And so it's a lot of different organizations, youth organizations that are part of it, that offer various services. Sometimes the student, it may be a drug-related offense, or it may be some kind of, violent offense, but it's nothing that will warrant, it's not an offense that will warrant them really actually going through the full court process. Judge Calloway is very big on restorative, more so than, just locking kids up just for the sake of locking them up. So we're definitely grateful to work with her and her team on that. And so it's a lot of great organizations out there. What we found once we got into the industry, one of not challenge, but one of the things that really kept us going is not a lot for girls of color. So it's a lot of different organizations for young men of color, just not the young women.
Right. So I definitely, in those findings, in that situation, I'm sure that you had a side-eye Tracy for coming to say, hey, how you only gonna do this for women of color, this, that, and other, when it's all type of stuff out there for everybody else. And like you stated, that they not gonna look for our daughters like they would look for other people's daughters. Like prime example, we got an issue going on with this online dating and Black women being killed on these online dates, and then all of a sudden pop up as a young woman has died due to natural causes and she good and healthy all of a sudden for whatever reason. So we already know how that game go and how it's played. If we don't get to digging, we'll just accept it for what it is, and they keep doing that and leaving us behind. One thing that I do love that I heard was that you do work with the men from time to time as well, because if you go on social media and you listen to certain other podcasts or you listen to radio station interviews, it's always between us Black men and women pointing the finger game. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, Black women have it the hardest. No, black men forget about it. We have the hardest and blah, blah, blah. We going back and forth. And I had this thought, I was listening to something yesterday, it was like, man, damn all that pointing the finger back and forth. Hell, if we helping each other out instead of pointing the finger, then we all good. We ain't got nothing to worry about. We unstoppable. At the end of the day, we all getting the bad end of the stick on both sides. We can argue all back and forth all day on who getting the bad end of the stick, but that shit don't matter if we separated and not working together as one. You know what I mean? So we'll never get nowhere in that situation. So I'm glad to hear that you guys do bring the fellas in from time to time and get their perspective from the guys. You go talk to some of the young men as well, because they need to hear that also. We always hear that the father not in the house, but there's a lot of cases where the mom is not in the house either. So sometimes you guys come talk to them. That's the only time they hear from a woman that you don't need to do X, Y, Z, or this is how you approach a person, or this is how you do that. Sometimes, the man has a good point, but you hear from the female side, it helps out a lot, especially as a man of my stature coming with 7 aunts. So of course I got to hear their opinion all the time. And I got both sides. So you know what I'm saying? So they help that. And I like the fact that the men come get to talk to the women, as well as my middle child that went through the summer program you guys got. She was able to tap in the places I hadn't seen her tap in a little while. She was, chopping up rocks at one point in time and distributing crack throughout the hood, but y'all got her straight. And she was out here carjacking and kidnapping. But through that summer program, she was able to tap into a mind state where she even thought about having a little business going, this, that, and the other, and working together with other Black little girls and having that thought and thinking outside of the box. So I appreciate you and you guys for that. And I came to the program. It was really great. But that's all I had to say while I was sipping on. Go ahead.
No, kind of touching on what you said about, Black men and women being at each other. Now, there are things that we need to get together, in our culture, how we respect each other, how we show up for each other. So those things definitely need to be addressed, but I don't think it should be, a tit for tat. But I know myself, when I had an example, my oldest daughter and we were walking through the neighborhood one day, and it was two Black men in their yard, and they spoke. Well, immediately I thought it was about to get ridiculous. And I should not have felt that way. I should not have felt that, okay, now you're about to be disrespectful. But that's what we see more often than not, unfortunately. So it's a lot of different things that I think we can, as a culture, address and get together. But like you said, we can't do it if we're not willing to listen to each other and we're trying to take score. But it's definitely.
And I even feel that on the male side sometimes. And I knew men was being ridiculous when you just speak to them. Hey, how you doing? You look nice today. I got a man. Whoa, I wasn't. I was just being nice. How you doing? Holding the door for you. Hopefully you have a good day. But the other side is that, and I've been out and seen, and women there, like, I don't know what you're doing. You and your wife look lovely, you got good skin, whatever it is, you keep doing what you do, and that make you feel good. You just keep moving. But we need that from time to time without thinking that it's something extra behind it. We need to hear that from our kings and queens on a daily basis.
Rose, it looked like you
Rose.
got
Yeah, Rose has something to say. I saw it in his face. Come on and tell it.
So I'm glad to have a woman on here. I would just say that. So my question would be is where do we, for you as a Black woman, where do you think the respect was lost? Since you hinted on it, let's go on and pull that bandage off completely. Where do you think the respect was lost amongst our community?
Well, where? I think, for me, I guess, way back when, let's say, let's take it all the way back to slavery. I think while our men knew that the things that were happening to us in the house was not on us, right? The rapes and the, things of that nature, it's still, that was your wife, right? And so still somewhere in there, you kind of lost respect for her, even though it wasn't. I think that's just in the male psyche that somewhere in there, there was a little respect lost. And then from our side, even though we know you really couldn't protect us, right? It was still a little part of us that wanted you to. So I think, it's just, we've been broken down so much as a culture from the jump. And, we just really haven't found our way back, in my opinion.
First and foremost, that is very well said. You hear that a lot, like, and I think it's unfortunate because, like I say, it was a sick game that they played, and they knew how to break us down from from a mental aspect of that. How do you think that do you think it's something that could be repaired? I know you said that, the conversation doesn't really get had without it being tit for tat, but what do you think is something that you would like to see, like, moving forward, for men and Black women to actually sit down and have conversations about?
I think having more, first of all, us that are raising, young men and young women, the conversation first starts there, for this new generation. We can definitely within our generations have these conversations. We're going to get a few of them on board, but it's a lot of stuff that is just deeply rooted. I know, within my family, I've been really strongly on breaking, those curses, right? Just because we've done this for decades, that don't make it right. And if you stop and think about it, half of it doesn't make any sense. So why are we still doing it? So it even goes to that situation. And so what I have come to the resolve of is, yes, I am going to speak my piece. Yes, I am going to, encourage my family to think differently. But the reality is, these two young women that I'm raising, I can really move the needle with them, right? Because they don't have all that prehistoric trauma to that extent. So I can move the needle with them. And what I hope happens is that they too, with their friends, and when it's time for them to have children, with their children. So I think that's where we can, have those, definitely have the conversations. But this younger generation, first of all, they look at the world completely different. And so I think they're going to be, the force to change things up. I really do.
Cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate the optimism, because you hear a lot of people with a pessimistic approach when it comes to it.
Yeah.
So that's good to hear.
But just like working with the kids, though, you hear their thoughts on different things. And, they look at things even me, that's what has really pushed me to have these conversations with my family, are my children. They constantly ask why. Well, why? Well, why?
Mm-hmm.
And so, when we were kids, we thought why, but we couldn't ask why. What do you mean why? Because I told you so. That's why. But, especially my youngest, she wouldn't let up, well, why? And I give her an answer, and then she'll go and research it and come back and say, no, that's not correct. So, yeah, I think she's gotten Mr. Flake down there a couple of times with things. So, yes.
See, I think that's dope. I think that's dope, though, because, like I always tell people, if you have the ability to talk to like our elders, and then you can actually talk to the kids, you will see the completely different dynamic in just thinking. But they're both going to tell you the truth. It's just from their lens, and you have to respect it. But a lot of people don't, because everybody has this one track mind, because they walk away from the conversation, they just want to be right. They don't want to hear what the other person has said. So that's commonly the issue within our community. But yeah, I definitely appreciate the mindset.
And that's another thing, we really focus on the kids. Listen to understand. Don't just listen to respond, because then you're going to miss most of what is being said.
Yeah. So Flake, she got you together a couple times, bro?
Hey, look, let me tell you something, man. These new kids, man, they got Google and all that. They go and research what you thought was right, and then come back and tell you was wrong. Like, I ain't had it. I had to take the word for what it is. However, they will get you together to make sure you know exactly what you're talking about before you approach them with something. You want to make sure you point out the facts and how you will move about it and go about it. And then with them, with these kids, as I got a teenager and a small fry, it's kind of like when you're dealing with the teenagers, you got to give them like the option. If I was in your position, this is what I would do. And that's something you want to think about. Now that works a lot better than, no, you need to do this. You know what I'm saying? Because they think about it way more than we did. They'll be looking at option A, option B, option C. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of, work with them. Yeah, I done got a couple times. These little kids, they like.
But you got to admire it, though, right?
Yeah, I ain't tripping. Yeah, it bothered me at first because the way we was raised, you know what I mean?
Right.
But
so my mother used to always say, 20 questions. You're always asking all these questions, like it was a bad thing, right? And so when this generation, they are coming in, busting everything open. Like, no, that don't even sound right to me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Nope. Why are we doing that? And I got to admire them, because we had questions, but we were never, it was never accepted to verbalize these questions. And so I admire the little children. I do.
So y'all been operating for 8 years now, if I'm not mistaken. You said 2014, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is there anything else that F.I.N. Design hopes to do that they haven't reached yet? Is there more growth and elevation in y'all organization that y'all are trying to achieve, or y'all doing exactly what y'all want to do? Y'all just want to get as many young women as y'all can in that need the help, or even young women who come from a good household to come and be mentors or volunteers for y'all to expose the young women that need help for y'all programs?
All of that. So we have an amazing director of programs, Destiny Burns. And so she's really pushing on the training side. So we have a small staff, right? 6 of us, 6 paid staff, and we rely heavily on volunteers. But what we know is we can't be in every place, right? So what our vision is for the next couple of years is to train schools and leaders in those areas that are with children every day on these different things and these different methods of dealing with our girls of color. And so that's where we're leading towards. We will still do what we do, but that will be an added element. So in case we cannot get into your schools, but we can provide that training so you too can provide this resource for your students. COVID has taught us that this virtual world is something we definitely need to tap into. So, you know, during COVID, we did everything virtually. We would mail things to the kids, and they would do activities and things of that nature online. And so it also afforded us the opportunity to tap into young ladies who didn't live in Davidson County. And so that's what we're aiming for. Like I said, that training piece, tapping outside of Davidson County. I know that's something Kara and I really want to do, is kind of go back where we're from to Michigan. You know, I had a lot of support growing up, and it was still, you know, difficult. And so it's so many young ladies like myself that don't have that support. And so we just wanted to tap in wherever we can. So that's the, I guess, if you want to say, the next 3-year plan is to touch as many young women as possible, but definitely utilizing the training of others, school staffers, to do so.
That's powerful. Next question, because I know we just kind of skipped over this. Could you please allow our supporters and listeners to know what the acronym F.I.N.D stands for?
Well, F.I.N.D stands for Families in Need of Direction. So what the vision is, so definitely our girls of color is our main focus, but we know that they come from families, and you know, their families often need different services. So we are always looking to support the caregiver in, you know, in any way that we can. So when our young ladies come into the program, they do an application, we talk to parents, things of that nature. So we actually assess what the family needs. And so we're able to connect them with other agencies to provide those needs. During the holidays, we do, we partner with some other community partners and do food drives. We do, before COVID, we would have an annual Christmas holiday event. And so we would focus on the students in Metro Nashville Schools Hero Program, which are their homeless students. And so we would have a big holiday event, and, you know, the families will come in, they get meal, entertainment, and gifts on top of gifts. So we're always, like I said, the main focus are our young ladies, but we know they go home to someone. So we also want to support them as much as we can.
That's real, that's real. So I guess it might be a little nosy or whatever. So is this what you do full time, or are you still in corporate?
So I do this most of my time. I do have a corporate job, but this is my passion. So this is definitely what we're leaning towards.
Okay. And I heard you say y'all meet weekly with your girls. So that's on the juvenile side and on the school side?
Well, juvenile, it varies. It depends on when they come in. But Destiny and her team, they work different avenues to incorporate the juvenile court students into the program. We're currently in, and they're going to kill me if I get this wrong, 7 sites, 7 school sites. So if they come through juvenile court and we happen to be at one of the schools they attend, it's easier. They can just incorporate into that group. But if not, then we try to do lunch buddies. And so we may not have a group, but then it can do a one-on-one situation with the young lady. So we would go connect with the school and see if we can meet during lunchtime or their personal learning time, things of that nature. And then we have different workshops, throughout the year, monthly or quarterly, depending on our capacity for the community and the young ladies. So we're just trying to tap into them in every manner possible throughout the year.
Okay. And if you want to share or not, most of y'all's, I guess, money, is it grant money, or do y'all get a lot of donations from philanthropists and sponsorships as well, or is it a culmination of both? How do y'all function and operate solely, just so, one, if our supporters want to throw a little donation to y'all and say, okay, this is how we can help support this cause for our Black queens out there and Indigenous people of color as well, them queens as well, we could go ahead and support. But how do y'all get y'all money, if you don't mind sharing?
So we're funded through grants and foundations, as well as personal and private donations. And anyone who may want to donate, you can go to our website. It is www.thefindesign.org. And so you can go there. And then for others who may want to check out what we do, then you can go to any of our social media. All of it is the same name, The F.I.N.D Design. You can search that. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I know we have some videos out on YouTube. Our content manager, she's amazing. So she's really kind of took us to another level with that. But yeah, you can check us out this summer. Volunteers, period. So you can volunteer on the website, you can donate on the website, check us out on the website. This summer, we're doing a leadership and entrepreneurship camp, which is what Flake referenced with his daughter. And so, if you have a daughter who you feel like she would benefit from it, we deal with young ladies 11 to 17, so middle and high school students. Definitely more than welcome to join that. But any and all information that you want on us, you can find on our website.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. So I know you kind of glossed over it, but you just said you're from Michigan.
I'm from Detroit.
Oh, Detroit. Okay.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
The west side of Detroit.
Okay, the west. Okay.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but
I can't let it ride.
Yeah. Two women at that group being from Detroit and doing positive things in the community, that's a good thing. They ain't out here carjacking and kidnapping, the usual Detroit stuff they go down.
Exactly. But don't get confused though. Okay. Yeah. All right.
You said you're from the east side of Detroit, or you said the west side?
From the west. I'm from the west.
Oh, excuse me. Okay.
Yes, the west. Yes. Detroit, born and bred. So, yes. Don't look around. Stay focused.
Salute to the growth. You know what I'm saying?
God is good.
Yeah. Well, he will.
Well, it won't. Y'all silly. Y'all have any more questions for me?
That's what I was about to ask the fellas. Y'all got any more questions?
No, honestly, I think you covered everything that I had for you. I just thank you for definitely coming on, sharing your expertise, putting out your nonprofit, but more importantly, just having an open mind to the youth, but then also from the different genders of actually seeing eye to eye and not completely just fall into the bullshit or just continue to go tit for tat or point the finger, because that's honestly what we need. We're all going to be passionate about our specific gender, but that doesn't mean you have to neglect the other one or don't hear the other one. So I definitely want to thank you for that, because this new generation, they are very opinionated, as we all know. But I do feel that with them being so open-minded and wanting to know the why to everything, they can definitely lead the charge to where it won't be another generation of bickering and back and forth of nothing, and just be on one side and realize that either they want to be with you, they don't want to be with you, just go be happy and find love, do whatever you do. But just to down each other and keep it going, that doesn't do anything for our race, and it just it impacts so many other things, just something as simple as a relationship. So thank you for that. That's all I have.
Flake?
Yeah, so I know you went us a little bit before, but just a reminder that everybody who's listening and they're in the Davidson County area, they want their daughter to be a part of something. It's www.definedesign.com. Is that correct?
.org.
.org.
Yeah.
www.definedesign.org. If you're thinking that your daughter might be able to be a help, or if you want to be a volunteer or get your daughter enrolled and you think that'd be good for them, please make sure you go to the website and sign them up. If you want to do your research, remember she did say they're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and there's some videos on YouTube. So please tap in and view that, and hopefully your daughter can join in and get a piece of the pie of some of this goodness these women are passing out.
And for me, I just want to reiterate something or to establish something, because a lot of times people think when you have a nonprofit, it's only for troubled people or troubled youth. And so one thing that you said, Ms. Sharese, is that y'all do leadership programs and entrepreneurship programs. So again, for the people out there who are listening, who might be in the Davidson County area, or just listening in general and want to tap in and to see if you could support them even from 1,000 miles away, or figure out if you can expand on their organization and get you one in your city or whatever the case may be, realize that we're not only trying to help. When you see nonprofits and when you see different organizations, they're not only trying to help the afflicted, they're also trying to expose the people who do have certain privileges and rights to a better tomorrow and to something different outside of their ordinary things that they may learn in their school systems or in their set of structures and behind four walls. So again, this is not only for people who are in trouble, these are just for people of color, Black people, to help them build, grow, and mature, and to create a better America and a better environment and a community that they live in, so then therefore they be upstanding citizens. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, because a lot of times when you throw in juvenile courts or when you talk about people in need and all this other stuff, people just focus on the negative aspects or the troubled kids, not realizing that even some of the kids that you were quote unquote called untroubled still want some help, or still need some encouragement or guidance, or still want to join a program such as a leadership program to help them, whether it be with college recruitment or anything like that, or just to help them personally and in their endeavors when they decide to, when they get out their parents' house. So I just wanted to make sure that we made that clear and put that out there. Now, Sharese, we do something called the Black Business Minute. And since you was on today, we're going to do the F.I.N.D Design as our Black Business Minute. So if there's any shameless plug you want to drop for your business, just to put it out there, you could go ahead and do it. And, we support you and we appreciate you for being on once again. So we'll allow you to take this time just to give another brief overview, because I know you've been talking about the organization the whole time, but just to give another brief overview of the organization, what y'all do, and yeah, for our Black businessmen.
So I guess I just want to say, our main focus is to educate, empower, and elevate our young women of color. And if you want to be a part of that in any capacity, whether it be a mentor, if you want to donate, if you want to provide a service for our youth, if you have your own business and you want, you know, to be highlighted and expose the young ladies to something new, reach out to us. We're open to growing these young women. And one thing that I know from my childhood, it took a village to get us where we are. Even in Detroit, it was a village of us. I could get a whooping from the front of my block all the way down to the end where my house was. And so it takes a village. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a village to support our young girls of color. And don't mistake our focus on the young girls of color to mean that we don't care about our other young women. We do. Even if they want to join the organization, we don't turn them away at all, because we need for us to understand each other. So, you know, I don't know what else I can say, but if you want to join our team, we're open. Just reach out to us. Oh, the website. My content manager's gonna get me. www.thefindesign.org has all of our connections and socials and all that kind of stuff. Daddy, did I do good?
Appreciate you.
You did wonderful.
Well, thank you.
And that's our Black Business Minute, and salute to y'all.
Thank you.
Flake, you on mute too.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, a little wine got them a little, yeah, got that force
Oh,
workout.
it's okay. It's okay. Take your time, brother. Take your time.
Our Supremely Black Person of the Week is gonna go to Calvin Brodus, aka Snoop Dogg. The reason being, he's gonna be our Supreme Black Person of the Week. This man is 50 years old, still relevant on your TV screens in the music industry. He does a lot within the neighborhoods as well. As you know, he got his own football league where he works with the kids all the time through football and making sure they are raised correctly. If you know Snoop Dogg's past and where he is now, there has been a big change within that man. And he has remained himself throughout the whole thing. He made change for the complete good, but at the same time, there's a lesson in watching Snoop Dogg move, because he is still him. He ain't sold out. He ain't did nothing extra out the way. He just changed over to the good, and Snoop Dogg is being Snoop Dogg. So we're going to make Calvin Brodus our Supreme Black Person of the Week. That is a man that should be looked at and is a legend, and everybody know him from your 3-year-old to your grandma. So big salute to Snoop.
Yeah, big salute to Snoop, man. I appreciate his community revolution and progress, man. That's actually pushing the right way and doing things in a pretty nice fashion. What's the experience, man? What's going on, dog? You know what I'm saying? That's the real thing. You feel?
That was put so nicely.
You just can't help it.
He couldn't help it. He couldn't help it. He couldn't help it.
But he tell me to stop texting a certain way.
Hey, man, listen, Flake shouted out his community work. That's the real thing, man. That's it.
And that's real. I mean, he is
real.
community actors, even though through the TV shows and all that, they don't talk about it. But when you do your research on Snoop Dogg, man, he's done an outstanding job within the communities, man.
That's all right.
What?
That's all good.
I got to give the D Rose. It flows so nice, though. I can't give it to it. It flows so nice. So with that being said, for all our queens out there, put your crown on, tilt that thing to the side, let them know you are a queen. For all our kings out there, put your crown on, tilt that thing to the side, let them know you are a king. We are not 3/5 of anything. We are supremely black, and we out.